Okay, first off, let me start by saying this is not a replacement of the 140i. This is a car that I need or have needed for a fair amount of time. And I actually bought this a fair while ago. And the only reason I haven't started it is because I knew I'd get comments like this.
Oh, Matt, you've got too many cars and too many projects. I can't keep track of them all. And you need to finish them before you start another one.
Yes, whilst that is true, I just can't bear to see this car sitting outside my unit looking sorry for itself for any much longer. So we need to make a start on this. Now, before I show you the cheapest Range Rover Vogue in the UK and why it is the cheapest Range Rover Vogue in the UK, let me tell you why I bought it. So as most of you may know, this is my GT86 and I use this as a drift car. But the more and more I get into drifting, the more and more I realise I don't actually want to be driving the drift car to events, then risk having a crash in it and then having to drive it back. So being the sensible guy that I am, I needed to find a car that I could tow a trailer with that I could put the GT86 on. And that is where I found this Range Rover. Say hello to what was 2015 Range Rover Vogue. Now, as you guys can probably tell from the title, this was the cheapest Range Rover Vogue in the UK at the time. And actually, to this day, I still think it is the cheapest in the UK. And if you stay to the end of the video or hit that subscribe button, then I'll tell you how much I paid for it at the end of the video. Now, it's pretty obvious to see why this thing was so cheap. It's been in a fairly bad accident, but actually I think it looks a lot worse than it actually is. But before we go through the damage and work out what exactly has happened, let me show you guys through the spec of this thing, because it is pretty cool. So this is a Range Rover Vogue SE. Now, they don't normally come with this rear bumper and the exhaust tips each side, but somebody's already upgraded that. The Vogue comes with a short wheelbase model and a long wheelbase model. This one is the short wheelbase. Now, the wheels have been upgraded to massive 22-inch ones. With this one, well, this one's knackered. Look at the huge split in this alloy here. It's bulging out all over the place. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be repairing this one. The Vogue has soft closed doors when the battery's charged. It has full 360 cameras in the wing mirrors, in the boot, and also on the front, which helps a lot for parking this massive beast. The front and the rear seats are heated and they're also electrically adjustable. Climate control in the front and of course the rear as well. Meridian sound system. It has a huge pan roof looking out onto the blue sky of Leicester. Armrest. When the battery's charged, this actually plays live TV with Freeview. Inside this armrest is a fridge. Underneath the bonnet, or hood if you're American, is a 3-litre V6 diesel engine. Apparently these are supposed to be really unreliable, but this one has done over 140,000 miles, so it's been really well looked after. It's categorised as a category S, which means structural. I have 2 keys and a full service history for it though. And of course, before buying it, I checked it out using Car Vertical, who has sponsored today's video. Car Vertical currently works in over 20 different countries, and it gathers data from places like car insurance databases, car crash auction websites. It's like the perfect tool for helping you to decide whether you're buying a decent car or a car with a little bit of hidden history that you may not know about. Wait, check out this monster of an armrest, and it even has a little compartment for your phone or something. That's sick. Anyway, back to Car Vertical. Check out this Range Rover Vogue that I found listed on Auto Trader. Looks alright, pretty good condition, but £32,000 for a 2014, and check the mileage, 59,000 miles. It's pretty low for the age of the car, but nowhere on the listing states that it's a category car or that it's even been in an accident. But let me pop over to Car Vertical and input the registration of that car, and now it's going to do its checks across loads of different countries, and this is what it's found. As you can see at the top, we've already got an amber light for the mileage, green light for theft to show that it's not been stolen, and an amber light for damage as well. As we scroll down, I can see every time a number plate was changed, and I can also see here that damage was actually detected in Poland, so not in the UK. When I scroll down, I can see the mileage here, and over the years, it does seem like it bounces up and down, so maybe it's not what it seems. And the cherry on the cake here, we can see damage was actually recorded on that car in Poland. And to top it off even further, Car Vertical has the pictures of the damage. Check this out. It was pretty bad, even rear quarter damage there. And here's some pictures after it's been fixed. Pretty handy tool. And just to show you what a good report looks like, here's my Lamborghini Gallardo. All green lights at the top to show no theft or damage. And as you imagine, all the mileage is all in line, and of course, no recorded damage. So before pulling the trigger and buying your next car without knowing the full history of it, check it out using Car Vertical. vehicle, and you can do that by clicking the link in the description box below, and with my link you're going to save yourself a nice bit of discount as well. Thanks Car Vertical for helping me make this decision. Let me show you exactly what's wrong with this now. Unlike most of the other cars that I buy, I actually know what happened to this one because I bought it off the person who crashed it. Now, when he crashed the car, and I'll explain how he crashed it in a minute, the trade insurance didn't pay him out the full amount that he thought the car was worth. So he actually ended up buying it back from the insurance and selling it to, well, me. We agreed on a price which I thought was fair, but I'd never worked on one of these before, so I don't know too much about them. And then Saving Salvage, who you guys may watch on YouTube as well, went and collected it for me and dropped it off out here where it stood for at least a month before I've actually touched it. So how did it end up like this, and what exactly is damaged? So all along the passenger side there is scratches just like we had on the C63, along here, along here, along here. There's a big dent in the door here. There's a wing mirror, which was a wing mirror. There's scratches all along the top, scratches down here, and the big dent in the rear quarter, which you can just about see there. Oh yeah, and the window smashed as well. The actual bonnet, the grille, and thank God the headlights look all in one piece. But the front bumper, well, it's got a little damage here to the offside, and we're repping the spare wheel at the moment. As we move along the driver's side, the damage is kind of minimum, but there's still a bit. There's a dent in this door here, but I'm pretty sure that could be repaired. The door looks as if it's touching the bonnet here, and it's just kind of pulled back the bonnet, but I think, again, that can be repaired. But I'm not sure why it's sort of pushed back, or maybe the door's pushed forward. I'm gonna have to figure that one out later. Check that out, the door hits the bonnet nicely there. And moving on to the rear, it doesn't actually look that bad, but there is damage. There's the same sort of style scratches on the back here, and also the boot, you can just see it doesn't quite sit in line to this side. It's sort of moved over a little bit. Now I would open it, but we have no battery power at the minute, but we will get the battery power on, so hopefully we can start it. And inside it's your usual suspects, the driver's airbag, the passenger airbag, and the windscreen's got a big smash in it as well. And that's the stuff we can see, but we did have an issue getting it off the trailer because on this driver's side front, well, let me show you. This wheel is pretty much free to move wherever. You can see it's pointing, well, towards me at the minute, and this wheel, well, that's straight. That is because if we can just show you underneath it, well, it's missing some suspension arms, and I think it looks as if the track rod is actually pulled out of the actual steering rack. Now I wanted to inspect that driver's side wheel to see exactly what's damaged so I know what parts to order, but the problem is we couldn't get the wheel off because, well, this was the locking wheel nut that we found inside the car, and it doesn't even have a center section in it. It looks like it's broken out, and that's all that we were left with until today. Now we actually called Land Rover up to see if we could get a locking wheel nut for this thing. Problem is they can't identify what locking wheel nut is for this car with the registration, and they told us there is 26 types of locking wheel nuts made for this car. But luckily we had the outer shell here, and that is marked with a C, and that actually helped. And that letter C was the actual key to finding out which locking wheel nut fits this Range Rover, and it was only £22, so now we can get the wheel off. But that still leaves the question of what exactly happened to this thing. How did it end up in this state? And well, long story short, he actually rolled it. Well, he half rolled it. It's been on its side, which explains the damaged wing mirror, the big dent in this door here from the amount of pressure on the side, the big dent in this door, and well, hopefully this can be fixed. All this damage here. He said he was driving down a country road at night and there was a car on the wrong side of the road, and it was either making the decision of hitting that oncoming car or going into the ditch, and well, he chose the ditch, which was probably the better option in this case. Now, the damage to the boot, he said, was actually caused by the people that towed him out of the ditch. He said that they opened the boot, not realizing that this thing is actually electronically controlled, so it opens by itself. They took the tow eye out of it, and then they tried to force the boot down with the hand instead of pressing the button, and by doing that and being a little bit rough, they bent the hinges on the top. I'm not sure of how much I actually believe of that, and I think it probably something is actually twisted in the boot, but I'm sure it could be fixed because there's nothing too drastic I can see structural wise on this side, but we'll find out when we start stripping the car down. Okay, will she start, or will there be a pyrotechnic fuse because the airbags have gone off like most of the German cars were on? Let's find out. Come on. Oh, she's gone. I don't know if you can hear her, it is Very, very quiet. Okay, so we've just learned that Range Rovers don't have a pyrotechnics cut-off fuse like most of the German cars that I've been working on, so maybe bear that in mind if you're looking at buying a crash-damaged Range Rover where the sump's been damaged or something like that. But this is looking nice. Full digital display, it says steering column locked. Obviously, we've got a bunch of fault codes, which we'll get to. And then, this is pretty cool as well. I think, yeah, it supposedly has TV in here, which it does. Yes, we have got TV. I'm not sure when that is going to be helpful, but we've got TV. She is running nice and smooth, nice and quiet for a diesel engine actually. There's no dipstick, so it looks like we're going to have to check the oil using the dash, but now we've got power and, well, I should be able to show you these soft closed doors. Maybe not. No. Right, let's see if we can get this boot open. There we go. And that one. Yes. See, that is how you're supposed to close it. Let's see if it closes. No. It's definitely something sort of bent on this side, which is stopping the boot from closing properly. See if we can push it over. No. 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 So I'm wondering whether the hinges are a little bit bent or something. It seems like it's pushed over to one side. There we go. I think plan of action is to get this thing in the air and then check that damage on the driver's side front seat, which arm's broken, get the wheel off, and then we'll take it from there. Maybe we can clean this thing up. Now, as the Range Rover doesn't move anywhere because of the suspension damage, we're doing this right where it stands. And my predictions were right. It looks as if the inner tyre rod has pulled out of the steering rack. And the front suspension arm here is sort of disconnected from the ball joint. So first thing I'm going to do is get the old inner tyre rod off. And here you can see where it's supposed to be connected, and the little drumstick ball joint which is supposed to be connected into the inner tyre rod. Next thing I need to get off is the front suspension arm. And this thing weighed an absolute ton, as you can imagine for a really heavy car. Now for the meantime, I'm going to pop the ball joint back into the inner tyre rod just so I can get this thing moving, but I have got an inner tyre rod on order, and it's definitely not advisable to leave it like that. We don't want that thing popping out again. And lucky enough for me, a front suspension arm was in stock at the local parts place, so I'm going to install that now. Okay, so the control arm is on and the wheel actually looks, well, it looks okay. It looks like it's in a pretty straight line. I don't know why the wing has all moved back, same with the front, but there is a bit of panel gap there, so I'm assuming that I could just undo these and move this forward as well. Obviously we've still got that damage on the wing. Hannah's got in straight away because she thinks it's her car and it's actually my car. So I think we should be able to move this thing now, give it a little clean out, and then we can assess what we've got to do next. But if this actually moves and drives, this is going to be, I say the bargain of the century, but there's still a lot to do, including, well, all the airbags and this glass. But let's see if we can get this started and move first. Oh, she's smooth. It's so weird having a car start up which doesn't make a racket of a sound with its exhaust. It's literally so quiet. So the rear belts have locked out. Luckily no curtain airbags are gone, but we are moving and it seems to be driving.
This is the weirdest thing.
I feel like I'm the queen in the back of the cheapest Range Rover in the UK right now.
How heavy it is so smooth.
So this car is on air ride, so we can lift it up and down, which we're going to see if works. Oh my god. Okay, so you've done something on the front because it is really high. See if you can lower the ride height.
Oh, I did do it.
Okay, so what normal height selected? Yes, and this is sort of the low ride height. You know what? New suspension arm. New inner track control arm, and she's good as new. Okay, the arch lining's rubbing. Oh, there's so much room in the back. So we need rear seat belts, airbag kit, couple of doors. We need to see what's going on with the rear, and then it's on to the modifications, I think, for this car. But first off, we need to get this thing cleaned out. There is glass and it's just disgusting. Now actually this doesn't seem like it's going to be a long repair, fingers crossed, as long as we don't find any sort of structural damage. But whilst Hannah's cleaning this, let me show you what I got for an absolute bargain. So I'm pretty much convinced that this door is beyond repairable. Well, a good body shop probably could repair it, but it probably wouldn't be worth it. Now, the wing mirror, this has got cameras in there, it's got temperature sensors in there, it's electric, and it's got an indicator in there. Now, just check this out. Second hand, this is a driver's side. The wing mirror is £400. I thought, oh my God, is this going to be the whole story of this car? Is everything going to be really expensive for the Range Rover? So I thought, well, if the wing mirror is going to be £400 second hand, what is the door going to be? This is where I ran into an absolute bargain. Check this out. I seen this door pop up on eBay with the glass, the wing mirror, all the sensors, the camera in the bottom, and everything, for £250. As soon as it went on, I hadn't even looked over this car yet, and I just went and I bought it. This is an absolute bargain of a door, and you know what? I managed to find a rear door as well. So I've already got two doors. Yes, they're a slightly different shade of blue, but I'm sure we can sort that out. Found something else. To those people that know about Range Rovers, probably not excited about this, but this is amazing me. So right here I'm watching the TV, but on this side you can't watch the TV. You're on a different screen. Two screens in one. That's so cool. So there we are, a nice introduction to the new project. I think it's actually in off-road mode at the minute, so the suspension is really high. But yeah, it is adjustable because it is on air ride, obviously. So the question lies, how much did I pay for the cheapest Range Rover Vogue in the UK? I paid just under £15,000 for this, so I'll let you guys comment in the comment section below. Did I pay too much, or was this an absolute bargain? Let me know. So again, thanks for watching this video. If you've enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. Cool, and by clicking the link